got to make this video just to ask a question about Google. And, like, I'm not even sure how to describe what it is other than incorrect usage, incorrect phrasing, or, not correct forms of questions. And it has to do with uploading onto Google or onto YouTube, which is basically uploading onto Google. Since Google bought YouTube, they've mined everything good that people like out of YouTube. They've identified what people use the most and like, and they're taking it out and they're offering to sell it back to you. That is some bullshit right there. That's like the storyline of Pretty Woman. But I digress. Okay, so you make a video. You're uploading your video, you put the title in, you make your description, you put in your tags, and then it gets to a page and it asks, is this made for children? What the fuck, Google? Excuse me, is there a human being working down there who figures out how to ask the questions? A video doesn't have to contain unsuitable for children content. Doesn't necessarily mean it's made for children. Most videos, I would say, don't have unsuitable content in them, but they're not necessarily made for children. So why the hell does Google form the question as, is this made for children? If I make a video about rebuilding a head on a car, is it made for children? Well, if a child was interested in rebuilding a head on a car and learning how to do that, it might be, I suppose, but it's not particularly made for children, but it doesn't contain anything that's unsuitable either. So what kind of a bullshit question is Google asking, made for children? So you have to choose, yes, it's made for children in order to have it viewable to the public. Otherwise, you have to log in and be 18 and over in order to view the video. So what the fuck kind of bullshit question is that, Google? Google's a fucking joke. Goog and Magog, that's who you're dealing with, Google. Anyway, that was not for the viewers, that was for Google. Google can sit on it and spin. Google is a blight on humanity and the world. And the notion that they need to play these Grammarly ads. Yes, writing is hard. It's hard to say what you want in words. It's harder to speak publicly than it is to write well. Give me a fucking break. Are you a dumbass and you don't want your friends and family to know it, or you're trying to get a job that you're really not qualified for? Well, you need Grammarly. That's basically what I hear when I see that stupid Grammarly ad. Did anybody else notice when Google first took over YouTube that the first thing that happened is the video response button disappeared in the middle of the night sometime? Just one day I realized it's not there. It used to be below, you get the videos, it would say video response, and you could respond to a person's personal video, presumably immediately, while you were there in the moment thinking about what was just said, your first reaction. That was the video response button. And it was interesting because there was a long list of video responses and you could just watch them one at a time. It was like reading the comments, except it was listening to the comments from the commentator speaking those comments. And Google did away with that first thing, because the last thing we want is a whole bunch of easily followable links linking content with real people. Because 9/11 happened, remember? And so, yeah, you get that. Google can't allow people to communicate freely and directly for very long. As soon as they got YouTube, that disappeared in the middle of the night. And then for a while, you couldn't copy and paste links into your description. That seems to have turned around now, or in the comments. That seems to have changed back. Shit. They started making everything more red than blue for some reason. I mean, there's just all kinds of little things like that. Oh, and the ads, the bullshit ads, the cartoon with a big toe throbbing. It says, could this cause your, heart attack or something, something to do with that. It's been years since, that was running. There was a targeted campaign ad from Oregon OHSU. Yeah. Anyway, with these weird the image is a person, there's an old gentleman, professional looking in a nice pinstriped shirt with a tie, and he looks to be in his 60s, and says, "When I grow up, I want to be a scientist who discovers a cure for cancer." Well, he's already grown up, for one. Very funny. Okay, so, and for two, um, the initial instinct should be doctors try and find cures for cancer, not scientists. I realize scientists, doctors that are trying to develop and understand new things, technically are scientists. So there, it's not technically incorrect. It was just, oh, he's old and he's saying when I grow up, haha, that's funny. Okay, well, that's one ad. The next one was an older lady, probably in her 70s, and she's got her head kicked back like this, and her hair's flying backwards, and her hands up in the air. It looks like she's falling over backwards, really, except she's got this big smile on her face. And it says, what did that one say? It said, "There's nothing that I can't achieve," or something to that. There's nothing I can't do, basically, nothing that I can't achieve. And I'm like, you look like you're about to fall over backwards with a big smile on your face, and she's very frail and obviously going to have trouble achieving at least hard physical goals. Then there was one with the Shaggy from, with a funky hat on, looked like the guy from the band Cake, right? And he's like, "It's not about living forever, it's about living," is what it says. These are just captions below the picture. And sure, it's not about living forever. It's about living with cancer, because that's the future for everybody. Cancer is the answer. We all need to realize that. You see, doctors are brave and knowledgeable, intelligent, better and smarter than you are. Doctors have figured out that everybody has cancer. Now we know why children get cancer nowadays, because everybody has cancer. We're born with cancer cells. Yes. No, we don't have cells that develop this condition that we call cancer. It used to be called consumption. No. We have cancer cells, right? Makes a lot of sense. The doctor said it, so it's got to be true. Besides, average Joe six-pack has no fucking clue about any of this stuff and has never thought about science or technology in his life. So how's he going to know? He's just got to trust his brave and wonderful doctors and all the stuff that they figured out about health. Makes a lot of sense, right? Fuck. This is called sarcasm. Now, people are born with cancer. You have cancer cells in your body. Cancer is a condition that happens to a cell, not a cell in and of itself that invades your body and attacks your cells. That's not how it works. And there are conditions that we live under all the time that help our body to end up in that state where that can develop. So isn't it kind of misleading to come and say we have cancer cells, everybody has cancer? Because that's not correct. Anybody can get cancer if they're exposed to the conditions which will allow cancer to begin to manifest in their cells. That's how you get cancer. It's by breathing toxic gases and eating toxic food and drinking toxic water and being exposed to microwave radiation, non-ionizing radiation. Sure, it doesn't ionize things at a rate that we can see. It ionizes things that are incredibly small at a very slow rate, like your mitochondria in your DNA. There is no such thing as non-ionizing radiation. There is rapidly ionizing radiation and incredibly slow ionizing radiation. All radiation of an electrical nature ionizes, period. So there's another science lie. Busted with logic and common sense. Simple as that. I mean, duh, if it ionizes at one frequency, it ionizes at all frequencies. We're just lacking the sensitive enough equipment to detect that ionization. But your body knows, because its DNA is being messed up by the wavelengths of these microwaves that are the same as the length of those little pieces pieces in your DNA strand. And that is bad. That's bad. I won't try and explain that. I think that anybody with as much as at least a brain stem, you don't even have to have a brain. You just have to be up to the brain stem, maybe a little past the brain stem. That's all you need to have developed. If you get to the medulla oblongata, then you should be able to understand that just fine, and I'm sure you can. I think I'm done now. Time to make the donut.